Follow Thanos, ready to take the green flag. The Greek driver got the pole for today's race in Waltham, Massachusetts. Cameron Gaddu is on her outside. We're 1 quarter into the season. The second quarter begins now. Follow Thanos gets a solid start, but moves up to the outside to try and block Cameron Gaddu. Here comes Nick Pericles in the 8 along the inside, actually getting into the apron a little bit. Andy Thomas swerving all over the place. Tristan Wilhoit making his way up into the top 5 in a real hurry there with some help from Rusty Babinski. Follow Thanos appears to have gotten the better run through turn 1. Nick Pericles holding on the bottom though with some help from Tristan Wilhoit. Tristan Wilhoit now ducked out to make it 3 wide, but Rusty Babinski's already on his inside and he couldn't do anything. Follow Thanos is going to lead them into the very banked high-speed right-hander here, and Follow Thanos is going to grab the lead for now. Cameron Gaddu trying to get past Andy Thomas for third already, still on a little bit of cold tires. He gets loose off of turn number 4. Here comes Amin Al Ghul down the inside, the very inside of the course. Jacob Young actually looks between them for a minute, thinks better of it, now tries to push Cameron Gaddu on the outside. That's not going to work. Now he switches down to the inside to help Al Ghul by. Pericles in the 8 had a hell of a start. Follow Thanos leads lap 1, but now he goes after the lead into turn 1, bumps Thanos high just a little bit. Very slight tap there, otherwise that could have been a lot worse than it actually was. But Nick Pericles is going to go into the lead here on lap number 2, turn 2. Andy Thomas now looking to underneath the 8. Nick Pericles is going to hold the optimal line into the next corner. Nick Pericles able to slip just in front of Andy Thomas there. On board the 31 of Prudence Littlejohn, who's trying to make her way up into the top 20 here in this big gaggle of cars. Matt Duncan slips a little bit sideways there. Prudence Littlejohn has had a bit of a mediocre season thus far, at least. Ended up wrecking back in round 4 at Trenton. Got a new car from a guy in Calgary and did quite well in Watkins Glen, and they brought that car here, modified the setup significantly for this near super speedway type racing that we have here, and is now making her way quickly through the field, although she's going to be stuck on the outside into the final corner, so she may lose some ground now. Going on to lap 4, and Follow Thanos still sitting right on Nick Pericles' bumper. Was staying right there behind him and was able to keep a gap between them two and Andy Thomas and Cameron Gaddu. As soon as he peeked out, Andy Thomas and Cameron Gaddu just shot forward, and now they've got a huge run on the pair of them. Andy Thomas trying to slip along the inside again, much like she did to Nick Pericles last time. It looks like he may be successful this time, as we've got a big gaggle of cars racing for the lead right now. Alex Wheeler's up here, Brandon Crass to Cameron Gaddu sitting in third position, but Andy Thomas is going to relinquish that position once again to the car on the inside through that corner, and that would be Follow Thanos in the 42, who's probably going to lead her second lap of this event. 42 a little bit too far out in front of these guys, and Matthew Stringer and Cameron Gaddu have teamed up, and Gaddu pushes Stringer past the 42 to grab the lead here down into turn 1. Follow Thanos is going to lose several positions. Amin Al Ghul, the only car to attempt to help Thanos, and now even he ditches her. Well, things may be reserved to 1 and 2 wide racing. Up at the front, at the bottom of the top 20, we have a big gaggle of cars with Bill Littlejohn, James O'Shea, and Jeff Derry racing for position. Matt Duncan and Alex Tanker nearly got together as Ryder Smith tries to push Matt Duncan through the middle to the lead. Terrence Day stuck behind Alex Tanker. Spencer Fullerton making his way up a few positions, and Richard Zielinski and Nicholas Samadillo coming up the bottom. That will become the outside in the next corner, down the hill into that really high banked right hand corner. Cameron Gaddu with the run up on Matthew Stringer, the car he's been bump drafting for the last few laps, but now he ditches Stringer, drops to the inside, and now he is going for a charge on his own, but there's a hungry gaggle of cars behind him. Amin Al Ghul drops down to try and make it 3 wide, not quite enough of a run to make that stick. But Amin Al Ghul now sitting behind Gaddu, forcing him up a little bit. Nick Pericles forces Al Ghul up a bit, and we were 4 wide for a moment there. Stringer nearly in the wall, and he will lose many positions as he had to get out of the gas there and that's suicidal at a track like this, especially in the super speedway type section of it, as Thanos sitting behind Nick Pericles. Pericles back in the lead for the second time this race. Nick Pericles leads the field across the line to complete lap number 9. Just 8 laps to go here in the first race of round number 6. Thanos once again gets by Nick Pericles up along the inside with a big push from Amin Al Ghul, who has just been lurking inside the top 5 the last few laps. Alex Wheeler nearly gets into the back of Nick Pericles there off of turn number 2. All of the top 8 drivers are all rookies who have never won a race, which means that this finish is either going to be really messy or really exciting, but probably both. The top 10 all single file, but here comes Al Ghul along the inside. Just 1 lap after Thanos passed Pericles with some help from Al Ghul. Al Ghul is going for the lead himself, and this has triggered pandemonium in this pack as we've got 2 and 3 wide racing all through the top 10. The top 10 could be covered with a blanket right now as Thanos and Al Ghul continue to run side by side. Thanos might be able to keep the position if he can keep his run up through the corner. Al Ghul's got a solid run on the outside though, but Thanos is going to have the optimal line into the next corner. Alex Wheeler right on the back of Thanos, right there to take the lead if anything does go wrong for the number 42, and it looks like the 69 will grab second as Thanos successfully holds off the charge by Al Ghul. Brandon Crasta sitting just outside the top 10 as we've got 4 wide racing for position here. Jose Bautista, Tyler Thaber, and Brandon Crasta make just a little bit of contact with one another. Crasta slips off the wall there just a little bit, and Bill Littlejohn now going for the position into turn 4. But Bill Littlejohn safely backs out of that one. He was not willing to put himself in danger of losing another car here in Waltham. Things just as intense outside the top 25 as Ali Nelson gets into Terrence Day. Terrence Day with a hard hit into the inside wall, and Spencer Fullerton with nowhere to go, and that car is destroyed. The racing really intensifying in this lead pack as once one car goes, the whole field goes as Amin Al Ghul drops underneath Thanos to take the lead. That was very close. That was a very close call with Terrence Day as Day tried to exit the pits. He had nowhere to go. There was no pit road exit past that point, but he held his line, and luckily we did not have an accident as Amin Al Ghul is going to have the lead for the first time in this race. 3 laps to go. Rusty Babinski alongside Amin Al Ghul off of turn 1. Andrew Rick makes it 3 wide along the inside, the very inside in that number 23 car. Can he make it stick? It appears that he will, although the 41 might have the better run off the corner. Here comes the 87 back to the front. All of the drivers that we've seen near the front all day are making their way back to the front for these final laps, as well as a bunch of guys we haven't seen at all. 3 wide down into turn 3 here. Rusty Babinski holds the lead as the lead has changed hands probably 3 times this lap already. Amin Al Ghul now dropping along the inside that will become the outside. In this corner he's going to have the optimal line, and Amin Al Ghul, after all of that, will get the lead back. 2 laps to go as we've got 3 and 4 wide racing. Just back of the top 5, but Rusty Babinski going for the lead now. Andrew Rick even lower on the course into turn number 1. Intense stuff in the final pair of laps here as Thanos back to the front somehow after falling outside of the top 15 just a couple of laps ago. Andrew Rick's going to have the lead. Cameron Gaddu trying to get past Alex Wheeler for around 5th position. He makes some contact with Rusty Babinski. Cameron Gaddu in the wall somehow manages to save it. He's merging back onto the racing surface. Amin Al Ghul and Ophelia and Doomian make some contact, and Doomian's around. Tyler Thaber's involved. Matt Duncan, Nick Pericles, and Ali Nelson. Nick Pericles is involved as we've got a lot of cars stalled out on the apron. Matt Duncan's upside down in the number 99. You take a look from the inside turn 5 cam as Matt Duncan just gets in between the part of the track that is banked and the track and the apron, which is flat, and he goes over 1.5 there in the number 99 as there's going to have to be a red flag for that cleanup. Indeed, they have red flagged the event. They've got the car stopped between turn 2 and turn 3. Normally we would have a green-white checkered, but the officials got this one started really late, between 6 and 6:30 Eastern Daylight Time, and because of that, we aren't going to have time to finish this with all the cleanup they have to do. They've got the estimated cleanup time is more than an hour, and by then it will be completely dark. There's no lights on this track, so Andrew Rick has been declared the winner of this event. Thanos in second position, led the most laps with 6 laps led. Alex Wheeler sitting in third with in the 69. Solid run for him. Rusty Babinski in the 41 and Jeff Dare in the 91 round out the top 5. The 87 of Matthew Stringer, I believe the first veteran driver to complete this race, in 6th position. The 79 and the 11, 7th and 8th, and Sam Curtis and Nicholas Samadio make their way into the top 10. William Duncan backs up his great run at Watkins Glen by getting the pole here in Waltham for race 2. His 8th place finish at Watkins Glen was his first top 20 finish since last summer, and now he will be taking the green flag. Don Thompson Jr. starts on his outside in the 51. The Canadian does not get a good start, and Jeffrey Fingai gets off into second very easily, not able to challenge Duncan right off the line like Nick Pericles in race 1. But still a good start for him. Sidney Crasta easily slips into third. What a horrible start for Don Thompson Jr., falling to the rear of the top 5 before we even hit turn 2. Duncan looking fairly strong at the start of this one. Top 5 to 10 are all single file right now. We've got Chris Louviere and Matthew Nicholson battling for a spot inside the top 15 here. This race, of course, had to be postponed from last night until this morning. When after the red flag conditions brought race 1 to a halt and stopped it 1 lap early. Johnny Appleseed racing with Alex Allen, James Silverfox taking a peek. Oh, he gets into the back end of Appleseed, and Appleseed, it turned into the wall. Appleseed's got a huge plume of smoke coming from the back end of that 00. Luckily, it doesn't appear that any fluids are coming out. The caution is not out for this. But Appleseed and Michael Caine, who is limping his way back to the pits, are both going to be out of this thing. Shrimp Engritz really gets held up by Michael Caine, although Michael Caine was holding his line, so Engritz should have just went around the outside of him. William Duncan got out to a big lead, but that has allowed Jeffrey Fingai and Sidney Crasta to team up here, and they are coming in a hurry up to his back bumper as we come to the end of lap 3. Fingai gets to the inside. Mark Nutt alongside Sidney Crasta. Sidney Crasta can't quite get down to the low line. Now is able to slip down, and William Duncan shoved out to dry. Tyler Markell is coming, but not fast enough to help William Duncan regain that position. Sidney Crasta now leaving Fingai out to dry, and Crasta will take the lead. Now, Nutt now coming up the inside, but Sidney Crasta's looks like she's gonna successfully be able to hold off the charge by Mark Nutt. Tries to come down. Mark Nutt's still there, but Sidney Crasta is gonna get the position. Oh, here comes Pichu London though for the lead. Another, just like at the end of race 1, this lap has seen about 3 or 4 lead changes already. Pichu London on the optimal line. Sidney Crasta is gonna have to get a solid run through this corner, and she does, so she will keep the lead. Not for long though. Duncan with a push from Don Thompson Jr. as the top 10 have kind of broken themselves away from the rest of the field, and Don Thompson Jr. shoves Duncan back to the lead just a lap after he lost it. We take a look off the rear camera of Daniel Voiles, and we still have some very tight racing back here at the end of the top 20. This is the second group here battling for position. Ilya Von Renko, TJ Den, and Luke Walker side by side. You can see DJ Harris back there battling with Zach Riel and Kim Markell. William Duncan appears to have the fastest car on course by far. But that's actually not such a good thing at this course. He's just running away from these guys, but then is getting drafted down on these huge straightaways that this course has. Don Thompson Jr. up the inside in the 51. The Canadian trying to take the lead. Sidney Crasta once again up battling for the lead, as we see Gerald Reddington, who's I believe third in points, is up here as well. Jeffrey Finguy up here. Just as in race 1, as soon as you get side by side for the lead, the whole pack just swarms. Sidney Crasta and Jeffrey Finguy still side by side for that position. Sidney Crasta trying to slip in front, will not be able to for now. Finguy might have the better run off of the corner. No, Crasta does on the inside, surprisingly. It'll be interesting to see what happens as we go into turn number 4 now. Crasta staying strong on the outside. Finguy surprisingly able to stay stable on the bottom there, and it appears that Finguy may actually be able to get the lead here, although Crasta's nearly clear into the final corner, and Crasta's got the position. Crasta would lead a lap, but Finguy once again not content with staying in second place. Ooh, that was some near contact with Duncan in London there. Duncan nearly got into London into one. London didn't realize that the 6 was underneath him there, as Carlin Dumian now goes under London. Finguy to the lead for the first time today. Taking a look at Zach Riel right now as he races side by side with Sean Morrison. Oh, we've got a crash in front of them, and Kerry Davis has just come spearing across the track after contact with Luke Walker, and Andreas Allen, Zach Riel, and Alex Allen are all involved. Kerry Davis struggling with a tight race car, gets up into Luke Walker, and they go down into the inside wall. Kerry Davis gets shot back across the track, and look at the avoidance by Mike Doan and James Silverfox to somehow come out of that with almost no damage. Jeffrey Finguy leads the field back to the green flag. Just 5 laps to go now, as it took a bit of an extended period of time, 4 caution laps around this joint, for them to clean up the mess down there out of turn 3. There was a lot of debris, especially from the cars of Zach Riel and Kerry Davis. Zach Riel, for instance, was stopped on the racetrack, and of course the negative of having a track that's 3.77 miles long and this fast is that you can't really store emergency vehicles near the walls for obvious reasons. But Duncan gets past Finguy on the restart. 5 to go now. Luke Walker, Zach Riel, and Kerry Davis, the only cars to to retire from the race from that incident. Finguy takes a look on Duncan. Duncan tries to shut the door, but Finguy's already there, and Sidney Crasta actually took a look 3 wide for a minute there. Now taking a peek through the middle. Sidney Crasta is looking everywhere to get by these two, because if there's another caution, I'm sure she would like to lead them to the green-white checkered. Jeffrey Finguy back up into the lead now. Duncan falls to second, but not for long. Here he comes with a charge, and Damir Bezyenov up into third position when it counts, like usual at any course with right turns, no matter super speedway or very tight road course. Oh, Daniel Voiles gets into TJ Denton. Don Thompson Jr. shoved up into the wall there. A little bit of a stack up now. Chris Louvier gets into the back of DJ Harris. Around goes Harris right in front of the field. They were 3 and 4 wide, and Harris has got a lot of damage as we got more wrecking further up. James Silverfox was sitting right behind this and had nowhere to go after Kim Markell hit DJ Harris. James Silverfox with terminal damage as Kim Markell, Mike Doan, and Sawyer Girl, after some contact with Sean Morrison, who was trying to avoid the incident, all end up crashing on the backstretch. Mike Doan is in second place in points. He's going to take a huge hit unless they can get that damage fixed for the now impending green-white checkered. We come to the end of the regularly scheduled distance now, and for I think probably the 4th or 5th time this year, we are going to a green-white checker. Jeffrey Finguy has already locked up the most laps led bonus. Let's see if he can get the victory here. James Silverfox and Kim Markell were the only cars to retire from that latest incident. All the rest managed to stay in the race and believe that they will be able to repair their cars well enough to be competitive in this green-white checker. 27 cars take the green flag with just 2 laps to go. These laps should be just as intense as the last couple in race 1. William Duncan did not get that great a start, but comparatively to the standing starts that started each of these races, he actually did quite well. William Duncan's going to have a really hard time getting his way to the front, though. On the outside is Pichu London's already shoved Fingai out wide. Carl Endumian sitting there in the 1 as Sidney Crastle looks even lower. And we are 3 wide for the lead right now. Fingai all the way down on the bottom, making it 4 wide as we enter the corner. For the first of 2 laps here. We've got several rows of 4 wide racing. This is crazy. I cannot believe that they haven't wrecked already. But Jeffrey Fingai and Pichu London still side by side for the lead. Carl Endumian in third. Damir Bejinov still trying to head the very outside line in the 13 car. William Duncan trying to get to some line where he can actually do something. The middle is just the sucker hole here. And TJ Dent also has made his way up into the top 5. Pichu London and Jeffrey Fingai slip into first and second out of the final corner here, into the final corner here. Fingai seems perfectly okay with sticking right behind Pichu London for now. The rest of the field, not so much. Carl Endumian up along the inside as we enter the final lap of this race. Carl Endumian trying to get to the inside of London now. Damir Bejinov trying to work his way up the bottom. Fingai trying to force his way through the middle of Bejinov in London as Mark Nutt and William Duncan battle for that position. Carl Endumian has got the lead in the number 1 car, but can he hold on for 3 more corners here? Damir Bejinov and Fingai in London, still 3 by 3 for the top 5 on back as London slips into second. He's a long way back of Endumian, but that actually might be what that group needs. They need a gap so that they can really just draft down and power by the number 1 if they're going to get anything done here. London still in second, closing in just a little bit on the 1 car. 1 corner to go after this as the top 5 have kind of broken away from the rest of the field, who are 3 and 4 wide back of the top 5. Yeah, 4 wide. Basically the whole group is 4 wide back behind this group. As London and Damir Bejinov close in on Endumian off of the final corner. London closing in still, now makes his move. Bejinov does not go with him. He's trying to make it 3 wide for the lead, and it's going to be Endumian who wins as a result. Endumian wins race number 2 here in Waltham. Second place goes to Pichu London, just couldn't quite get it done in the end. He had a fast car all day though. Damir Bejinov, I believe, just finished third. No, it was Jeffrey Fingai in the 20 actually who managed to pick up third position by just staying behind London the whole last couple of laps. I'm sure Fingai wished that he and Pichu London could have just settled it for themselves, but the others were going for it as well. Damir Bejinov finishes 4th in the 13 after his aggressive move to try and get by both of them on that last front straightaway. I don't know whether that would have ever worked. William Duncan 5th after having probably the fastest car all race long. Gerald Reddington in 6th position. DJ Harris somehow makes it up to 7th after restarting 25th after basically putting a whole new rear end on that car between the final caution and this green-white checkered. Sidney Crasta 8th place after leading some laps. Chris Louvier and Tyler Markell round out the top 10.